Let's bring in our panel of NewsNation political contributors now with more on this. Lauren Wright is a scholar and lecturer at Princeton University. And Chris Hahn is a Democratic strategist. You know, that intro doesn't seem fair to me. You know, Chris, I think we have to have something like Professor Chris Hahn. I don't know, Lauren. So it's just, but you are.
My friend Chris Hahn, my very good friend that I love talking to on your show.
Former Professor Chris Hahn.
Dr. Lauren Wright is, and Chris Hahn's a good guy. He used to work for Chuck Schumer. No, I'm just kidding. No, they're both good people. Like, Lauren, can we go big picture what Joe started? I want to go back to what he was talking about at the end there in a moment as well about what may have been the trade. But big picture for the president, Joe's right. This is a big win, right, politically. Would we say that he's on some sort of a hot streak right now, President Trump, between the jobs report today, maybe even Iran, other things? So what would you say about the Trump presidency and what today means?
Yes, he's implementing his agenda very successfully, and we're seeing congressional progress in a way that Democrats did not anticipate when they said democracy is over and we're living under a fascist dictatorship. Obviously, the wheels of government are turning, whether you disagree with the agenda or not. So yes, I think it's very positive for him, but that's what you're supposed to do when you have the White House in both chambers, is pass the legislation you want. So I don't know if that's a low bar or a high bar. Chris will definitely tell us, but it was very successful for him.
Not much Democrats could do to stop him. It would have been Republicans. So, although Hakeem Jeffries, I guess, gave it the old college try today with that long floor speech, the vice president posted on social media that a GOP congressman texted him and said that he was undecided on the bill, but then he watched Jeffries, Chris, and then was affirmed, yes, well, I don't know about that, but that's what he said. What do you make of this whole thing?
Look, I mean, he has the White House and both chambers of Congress. He should be able to get his legislative agenda through. He did. Now the people who voted for it are going to have to live with the consequences. For example, they may or may not know that this bill cuts a $5 million program that provided mental health support to military families' children whose parents are overseas. Why would they need to cut that? How are they going to defend that cut? You know, how are they going to defend the 14 million people who are not going to get health insurance over the next 10 years? I mean, these are things they're going to have to go to their districts and they're going to have to explain their vote. Polls have shown that this bill is very unpopular. Right. And the component parts of this bill are even more unpopular than the whole, which is usually the opposite. Usually you break these bills down into components. People like the components. People don't like the components of this bill. And if Democrats can have a sharp message in the midterm, they're going to use this bill to great effect to take back the House.
Well, it's so big that there's a lot in it, probably a lot in it for everyone. The extension of the tax cuts, you could argue, is pro-growth, and that will be positive for the economy in the short term. Some of these other things, cutting programs, are going to be things that, Lauren, the Democrats, to Chris's point, are going to use against or try to use against Republicans. I have a clip here from Congresswoman Lisa McClain talking about some of that, especially when it comes to Medicaid. Let's listen.
For all the fear-mongering that goes out there from the Democrats, we actually secured Medicaid for those who need it most. Vulnerable Americans, pregnant women, and the disabled. Compared to the Democrats, who would rather give Medicaid to illegal aliens and MS-13 members.
All right, what's the truth here, Lauren? As you know, the CBO is saying 11 million plus, maybe almost 12 million people could lose insurance.
Well, I do really think the Democratic talking points of this have been oversimplistic, and I don't count Chris in that because I know he knows his stuff. But when you say Medicaid cuts, a lot of these proposals are things that were in every single budget in Obama's second term. A lot of them were things that President Clinton passed, things like work requirements, things like a slight age increase for benefits. Most Americans do think that if you're an able-bodied person with no children, that you should have some sort of work requirement. So what the Congresswoman's talking about is the growth of Medicaid has exploded in the last 10 years beyond the point where it's affordable. So yes, you do need to make common sense cuts to secure it for the future. That's absolutely true.
What would you say about that, Chris?
I mean, look, they're going to have to live with this vote. And people are going to actually feel it or they're not. They're going to know that they're getting the cuts or they're not. And the problem isn't so much with the individuals who are going to be losing coverage. There's going to be a lot of that, and that's a problem that's spread out. The problem is going to be when hospitals start closing because they can't get reimbursed through Medicaid anymore. and particularly in red states and in some swing districts in red states, that is going to be a real issue. I mean, this is why Tom Tillis didn't vote for it. This is why he decided he's not going to run again rather than vote for it. And it's why so many Republicans had a problem with this bill, and they were strong-armed by the president into voting for it. So, you know, look, they're going to have to live with this. It's not going to be pretty for some of them.
It does bring us back to that point, Lauren, that Joe Khalil was getting to with Chip Roy and, you know, trying to press him on what did these so-called no votes, and who knows, were they ever really no votes? I guess we'll never know, but they said, hey, we're going to vote no to yes, and what promises has the president made, and does he deliver on those promises through executive action? Is it legislation? What's your take on that? There's some of that we don't know yet.
I was sort of smiling when Joe said that because I don't know if those promises will be fulfilled. No one can really tell, but this is what the president needed to do, make these assurances to get his members over the line. And it does give the members some cover that they can say, I got the time with the president. I told him what's important to you, and he said he's going to deliver on it.
That's what it becomes at the end. It's frustrating for regular people watching is cover, right? We hear that all the time. And Chris, you know this from your experience, I'm sure, on Capitol Hill, is that sometimes that's what these members are looking for, is a quote-unquote way to get to yes.
It is always what they're looking for. I've often said if you give people cover and the thing is reasonable, you can almost always get them to do it. So you got to give them the right cover. And there was probably some cover put down. I wouldn't be surprised if most of what was promised was on the campaign side of what the president will do to help them keep their seats. And I'm getting tired of members, really, who are just going to Congress and their only goal is to stay in Congress. I wish they would just stay home. I wish they would do what Tom Tillis did, and just put it aside and say, look, this is too important to my constituents for me to just bow to the president. But that's what we have now, unfortunately.
It's usually people like that are leaving, Lauren. Let me make this the last point, a closing point from you on this, that kind of quote-unquote vote the conscience and vote against their party when we see it. More often than not these days, it seems like the next thing is, oh, I'm retiring.
Well, the ironic thing is you want someone like Tom Tillis that has some principles and has a clear agenda. And so the older members that are there for a long time, I am super appreciative of those persons. They have the knowledge and the experience. We need more of them and fewer AOCs, in my opinion.
You guys are always both great for balanced discussions yourself. You guys should both run. Lauren and Chris joining us. Have a good fourth, okay?